Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Film Fumblers podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Jurassic Park, a film released in 1993 and directed by the one and only Steven Spielberg. So without further ado, I'm Adrian.
I'm Jay.
I'm Taryn.
I'm James.
All right, let us hop right in. What are we shooting today, boys?
Tito's again for me.
Tito's again.
Some really terrible vodka.
Terrible vodka. I'm drinking Kirkland tequila.
Isn't it all terrible?
That's true.
Well, vodka's supposed to be a neutral. I don't know. All right, let's just shoot this shit.
All
Cheers,
right.
guys.
Cheers. Virtual cheers.
Oh boy. Woo!
Not great.
Not terrible. Not great, not terrible.
So another movie, 1993. The
1993.
birth year for
Most of us,
Spielberg?
except
Half of
Taryn.
half of us.
When were you born, James? A week
16 days after me.
92.
92? And
Individual
Taryn was like
92.
74 or something. I don't know.
Literally like 2 weeks before James.
69, 1969.
Just in spirit.
Yeah.
All right. Honestly, I don't think that I've seen this movie all the way through before, just
Really?
watching it. It's so weird. This has happened in like the past 3 movies that we've watched, where I'm just like, oh yeah, I've seen RoboCop, or well, no, RoboCop I knew I didn't see, but I was like, I've for sure seen Back to the Future, but no, same with this movie. I think I remember, Taryn was saying this earlier, I think I remember more things from Jurassic Park 2 and 3 than I really do from this one, which I thought was kind of weird.
This was one that I've definitely seen before, but I was younger. And
Mhm.
it was one of the first movies we've watched where, as I'm watching it, I'm like remembering those things, but
Yeah.
from when I was younger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've only seen it like once though. And I've never seen the sequels.
Yeah, I don't think I've
only-
ever seen.
except for like the Chris
any of
Pratt
those.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, Jurassic World. That's hardly counts as
Yeah.
a sequel, I guess, but
Right.
Hey man, they got Goldblum back for the new one, I think.
did they
Really?
wait for the 2018 one?
Yeah, I
Or
think so. I
What?
think, didn't they tease it? I don't know, whatever. Let's see.
I hope so, because he made the movie for me in a lot of ways, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd watched it recently, but
good.
I guess it wasn't all the way through because I remember the first hour before all the crazy action starts, and that shit is like perfect. And then after that, I was like, oh wow, I actually don't remember this at all. But it was
Of this movie, 1983.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, it opens up like really, like the worker gets eaten by the velociraptor. So right away, you're just like, okay, like
This shit's dangerous.
this is probably a bad idea. Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes into just, a lot about what happens, like a lot about paleontology, and like, you are introduced to the main characters and that they're kind of at a dig site and stuff. So it was, after the first scene, it was a little slow, but go ahead.
That dig scene, do you know who that annoying ass little kid is? Do you guys
Mm.
recognize him?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Jay? It's like such a deep cut, but the music video for Lay It Down by Rat, that little kid
What?
eating his cake, you remember? The weird little kid? Didn't we just watch that
Maybe.
recently?
Yeah, we did just watch it. I don't really
It's
remember
like, this
it.
kid looks so distinct, and I looked it up, and I was like, it's that fucking
How
kid.
the hell did you just make
That's
that
crazy.
I don't know.
That's
But I was
weird.
like,
I
You
thought
need to
that
tell
the
Jay
kid
about
looked
this.
familiar, but I had no idea from what. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Weirdest
Dude, how-
connection.
How fucked up was that scene with that little kid though? Where like they're trying to show like what's his name? Alan Grant. He's just like Dr. Alan Grant. They're trying to show how he's not great with kids. So he just fucking mentally scars this kid. He's like, this raptor will gore you and rip your fucking intestines out, you little fuck. Like, respect the
Yeah.
crustacean period. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this kid's like 8 years old.
and the other adults are just laughing, like, oh,
Yeah, they're just like, oh man. Leave it to him. Oh.
There's also that like small piece where you kind of see that he's more like, I don't know if it's apprehensive or like just kind of against technology in some ways. Like he's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's another computer.
I hate
Mm,
computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because the guy behind the computer is like, in a couple of years, we're not even going to have to dig anymore. And he's just like, well, where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
Or like, where's the, whatever.
Yeah.
dude, strong Indiana Jones vibe, like right away. Did anyone else feel that? Like, so, I mean, granted, like Steven Spielberg, it's like, that influence, but I was just like, this is like, it almost feels like a ripoff, but I mean, and
I think to me it's more because, well, there's two things, right? You have John Williams again composing
right,
for this. He might also, just sidebar, he might be the best composer of movies for me.
Yeah, the GOAT. Yeah, I think
he's
so.
crazy. But that combined with Spielberg, especially in like the way that they introduce scenes and characters, they kind of draw you in right away, and they make the world just feel real. Like you are in this world now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, and
that's meme one, that meme fucking flute ass, like it like shows how important like music is, like, and then put that fucked up ass flute over it.
Yeah, but to touch on what Jay said, like I do think that they did a good job to show, like, they explained like this is how we got the dinosaurs, where they talked about the mosquitoes and like the mosquitoes getting stuck into amber. I was like, this is cool. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously we couldn't do that in reality, but it made you really believe it.
Dude, yeah.
That's how they got it. So
speaking of that, it reminded me of Back to the Future a little bit, where I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I didn't really think
exactly
more about it.
Yeah, perfect. The way they use like a ride that's supposed to be like for kids and adult, like everyone, right? And like they just use that, like it's a part of the park, like it's totally in the world, but it's like perfect to tell us what's going on,
Yeah,
which maybe an issue with like, I don't know if it's in general modern films, but it feels like they try to over explain things. And I mean, we always touch back to like Endgame and how they were like, this is how time travel works, and we're going to sit you down and talk to you about it for a minute. When really what you need is just like, hey, a mosquito sucked blood from a dinosaur and we got the DNA. That's all you need to know. Let's move forward.
Really good visuals, that cheesy little animation and stuff.
The DNA animation, it was like, that was really good.
Yeah, reminded me of Clippy, like Microsoft.
or like I'm just a Bill. Like
oh yeah. What was that? Schoolhouse Rock?
Yeah.
So this is something I did find out there on the internet, that the mosquito in what's the old guy's name who owns the park?
Hammond.
Yeah, that mosquito doesn't suck blood. Like in real life.
Huh. Oh, like the
ancient
like ass ones?
Yeah, because it was frozen in the amber or whatever in his cane. But the thing is like, well, maybe they didn't use those mosquitoes or whatever, but there's just like an interesting little fact.
That's such a small step to like take to believe it, though. It's really good.
Totally. For sure. So what do we have happen after? I guess John Hammond kind of lets himself in to their trailer. The characters, Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, pop some champagne. He's like, hey, are you gonna come to my island? I'm gonna show you some cool shit. I'll fund your dig site for another 3 years. Like, what do we got to lose? So the movie kind of picks up a little bit, and they headed to the island. And this is when we meet Jeff Goldblum in the helicopter. The highlight of this movie for me. Every time he's on screen, I don't even think he has that many lines, but I'm just like,
dude, like 90% of the lines he had are just so memorable. Like, I was like, yeah, I've heard this a million times. Half of them are memes that are super popular and shit. Like,
and then the ones that aren't memes are just sexual innuendo about like how much of a sex god he is.
For me, it's weird that like Jeff Goldblum, even like in the new Marvel movies in that Thor movie, he's kind of the same dude. Like he's always a little bit just Jeff Goldblum. But it's not like he's playing the same character. It's just like that's just who he is. I don't know. It's a little bit different.
He's good at playing the eccentric, like kind of brain or whatever it is.
I'm like almost convinced that they don't even give him a script. They're just like, here's what's happening, and he's like, okay, well, we'll just figure this out. We'll just kind of go, and like he just makes it happen. It makes it work, and it just.
His character is really interesting too. He's like a chaos theorist or something.
Yeah, like a petition. Something
right.
like that.
Yeah, a lot of his lines, like, I mean, they're all like foreshadowing of like the entire movie, like everything that he like talks about
It's like, did you
ends up
think of this?
happening. Yeah, ends up happening.
Yeah.
He's like, I was right. I told
Yeah.
you. Like, it's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting to see.
It's definitely a cast of characters in that helicopter. There's the two like studiers of archaeology or whatever. That dude, the mathematician, and the lawyer, and then the owner.
Yeah. Which the lawyer, so hilarious that they were just like, yeah, we're gonna kill the lawyer first. Like, he's gonna be
Oh yeah.
defenseless on the shitter and die in complete fear.
Yeah.
And they in the that meeting that they have, you know, and he's like, when everybody's like kind of opposed to him, and he's like, Jesus, you know, I bring all you people out here to agree with me, and the only one who does is the blood-sucking lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Just funny to tie back blood sucking to the whole mosquito, which is the foundation of everything in this movie, is how they kind of.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
that's good.
But he specifically says the blood sucking lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
fucking love how they introduce every character. It's just feels so good. You just instantly know who they are. Like what kind of, like just how like they act and stuff is like just conveyed instantly. And then that scene where they're in the meeting or whatever. I don't know, just like everything just makes sense, like the way that they're thinking. I don't know, it's really good.
Yeah, that was a big scene. I mean, you kind of just see everyone's perspective about like why this is a terrible idea, and then you see again the lawyer and the John Hammond, the investor, are like, no, this is a great idea because money, and everyone's just like, we're playing God here, and this is just bad news. But they all have like their own different reasons for why it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting, like a shift to me from the lawyer, because I feel like the lawyer was there to try to like shut it down in some ways, or not, you know.
Yeah, because in the beginning when they were all in the car, he was like, "You're gonna be like, if I'm not impressed, like, what did he say? He said something like, all the investors are gonna be pissed off, and you're gonna owe me an apology."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It seemed more like he was the threatening presence.
Sick comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole point of getting two paleontologists and a mathematician on chaos theory was to get people to back, like they were like,
The
you
idea,
need
right.
important people to back the idea so that way it can
Right.
pass with, you know, opening up that kind of amusement park, which is so weird. Like just to think, I don't know, it kind of, I'm just starting to put this together now, but it feels so like capitalistic and like so like it just draws this attention to this thing about like SeaWorld, where it's just like places where it's just like, let's just have these animals put on display for amusement, and we're doing it in the name of making a profit. And like that's what this movie is, and you know, early 90s, about just kind of showing that. So I don't know.
Yeah, there is a bit where he talks about how, like, you know, what if the condors go extinct? I could clone condors and like have them.
Everyone would be happy.
Yeah, but you know, it's like an empty. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Hammond is an interesting character because even though he's like trying to make money and shit the whole time, he feels like a good guy. Like he has the best intentions. He's never struck me as like this dude is evil.
Well, like he's like, he even says himself like, "Oh, we're not gonna make this park like only for the super rich. Like everybody has a right to see these like."
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
Stuff, you know. Even though like he has general dick vibes like throughout the whole movie.
He keeps
like,
really weird.
Yeah.
General dick vibes.
Like he just shows up and just opens that bottle of wine, like fucking who gives a shit. Like I don't know what.
Gosh.
Yeah, he like isn't trying to make money, it seems like, but he's also like, if some shit happens to like workers or something, I feel like he just wouldn't give a shit. Like he's like, no, save the dinosaurs or something. You know what I mean? That's what it.
Yeah.
Felt like a lot. Even at the end, he like was hesitating, like shut down the fucking park or whatever the fuck happens.
Yeah, I guess in some weird way, he's more of like almost a mad scientist who just like wants to make a name for himself and like be, you know.
But like the thing is that he's already like well known, because in that first like trailer scene when the Slater or whatever her name is comes in, he's like, oh, this is doctor, this and that. And she's like, oh, she gets all like surprised about it. So like he's already like they're all, and that's like the funny thing is that they're all like well renowned like in their fields. Like, you know, the little kid is like, oh, I've read your book and this and that. Like,
right, yeah,
they're all like super up experts there in their general field, yeah. But
yeah, so I think the next notable scene that we should get into is the actual tour that they go on in. Well, okay, but I do want to talk briefly about the paint job on the Jeeps that they pull up in initially. I'm just like, that's such a fucking cool looking Jeep. And I've like never seen anyone have that. I'm like, why isn't that a thing with Jeep?
Oh, I've seen some people.
I've seen it online.
Yeah.
Online, but I'm like, I want to see that shit in person all over. Anyway. So they hop into those little cars and they're like driving themselves kind of, but it seems like they're also on rails, which was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on rails.
But like the steering wheel's like turning and shit. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess
yeah. There was a funny piece of that scene where because the kids are kind of introduced shortly before that, right? They come into the center.
By the way, grandkids are here.
Well, and what's funny to make John Hammond's like a lot more likable is like his grandkids love him. Like he's amazing with kids, and it just gives like this more of a human element to him, and he's, you know, so he's not just after the money for sure, you know.
Right. Well, the girl hops in the car and it like turns on and the screen comes up, you know, and she goes, "Oh, it's an interactive CD-ROM," and I was like, "Holy shit!"
There's a few of those.
The whole the weird thing about technology is like it was interesting. I think we kind of skipped over when they go through the lab and they go through the like little
park ride.
Little park ride where the little genome little caricature is talking about it all. But like they showed like VR and shit with like real like hands and stuff, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "That's real shit that like exists now."
Yeah,
and like I bet you that was like nowhere near being anything real back then. And like it was interesting to see like, and then you were talking about like how the cars were on trails, like they made a self-driving car very realistically like what it could be, you know, like now we have cars that literally drive themselves not on rails, they just fucking drive themselves, you know, like it was interesting to see how they were trying to like not predict the future or anything, but like make of all this stuff, like predictions into really high tech like technology, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and well, what's interesting about that too is it's not this movie wasn't based in the future.
Yeah.
So it was just like this is the top of the line stuff that we have right now, which was cool to kind of see how it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read that. So Steven Spielberg and the guy, the location scout, they were trying to get inspiration for the lab, like what the lab would look like. And so they got in touch with this doctor who at the time was like top of the field in AIDS research. And the location scout was like, "Hey, we're doing this movie. We're like looking for different labs so we can get some ideas on what things should look like. And we want to see yours because you're like top of your field doing crazy stuff over there, right?"
That's cool.
And so they go and they show up and the lab is just like so plain. Like there's nothing futuristic there. And Spielberg was like, where's the lights? Where's the lasers? Where's like all the things? You know?
The white lab coats and
And so the lab design came purely out of his imagination, which is like so much more insane.
Because it looked pretty.
It looked good,
not like normal, but like realistic, I guess.
Looked good. It had that claw that looked like that was like turning the eggs pointing. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's actually that just to keep with that scene real quick. That's where what is it, like life finds a way or whatever, and they talk about how all the dinosaurs are female and all this stuff, and just throw all that info in your face for later. It's really good.
Yeah, the big foreshadowing, and then right away 2 lines, like it was like one after another. Like Jeff Goldblum, he says "life finds a way," and then he also says. Well, there it is.
No, that's that one.
Wait, what was that? He says what?
Well, there it is.
Oh.
He says, "Well, there it is," and then he says, like, literally 30 seconds later, or 15 seconds later, he says, "Life finds a way." And like both of those, I don't know if it's because they're memes and like only our generation, like our generation and younger, kind of really latch onto those, but they're amazing reaction gifs.
That's a good point. Like this like reaction gif culture and
Right.
like, memes and stuff. It adds that whole other dimension to the movie
Jack
for
Nicholson
our generation.
fucking frozen.
Frozen, yeah. Like people who watched it back
shit.
then, they probably saw.
They
those
probably were like,
memes
"What
and
the
like,
fuck?"
oh wow,
Yeah.
Well,
and
we're just like,
you
oh,
laugh
there it
now.
is.
Yeah.
Before that, speaking of memes, Wayne Knight's character, like the big guy,
yeah.
dude, I had no idea that that like, hey, everybody, he's this. See, nobody cares. I didn't know that was from this movie. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
That was
I
probably
didn't
a
know it
cool
was from
surprise
Jurassic
then.
Park, but yeah, I was just like, what? I thought it was from like a movie from the mid 2000s or something. But
dude, he was good in this movie.
He was good. He was
Nice.
sleazy. You hated him, but like, he did a good job.
You know what was weird about this whole movie is like, I don't know, like going into it, like I had like, I don't know, thoughts that he was like way more in the movie, and Jeff Goldblum too, and they were like hardly in it. Like I mean, they were in it, but like I just thought like he was gonna have way more screen time. Like it was just like very different than like what I remember it being. You know? It's kind of weird.
It's interesting because they set his story up as like a main plot point. Like it's like there's like two stories running.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of only came in at the end, right?
And that's what was weird. Yeah.
I mean, we knew that he was there to take something.
Yeah.
But then we didn't see it.
But it never got explored. Well, what do you mean at the end? Like when he actually was doing it, or like?
Yeah.
But we never like saw like what is the other? I don't know. I've never seen the other two movies, so I don't know if this is all set up for an explanation of like who's that looming figure that wants to steal all that shit. Like I don't know if that's explained later. I don't know. But that was kind of one thing that was kind of like. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I think
I don't know. It's kind of strange to me.
Yeah, I think right away it was. I mean, because you see because he puts the samples into that Barbasol TM, the shaving cream bottle.
Not a sponsor.
And then it gets like washed into the mud, and they just leave it there, and we don't reach back to that ever. So right away it leaves it open, like, okay, probably sequels, like if you were just watching it originally, because they never touch on it again. So
maybe
that was one of the ways, because otherwise with just this movie, I mean, Wayne Knight's character trading on them didn't really lead to anything in the movie. He just
set up conflict for them at the end.
Yeah. But it didn't lead to anything big, he didn't complete his mission on like selling the samples or anything.
Yeah, I guess it maybe just kind of showed that like with this kind of playing God kind of thing, you never know when somebody's gonna take it too far, and that's when shit's really gonna hit the fan, when
other people want to get involved.
Yeah. It kind of like strengthens the power of the idea or whatever behind it, right? Like it's such a crazy concept that other people are going to try to come and like literally steal it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So backing up a little bit, during the the actual tour in those cars that are on the tracks, we don't see a lot of action with. I think the middle section of the movie for me, I was kind of, I don't know, it kind of lost me a little bit. Like I was in some ways as bored as the passengers on the ride, where they're just riding through and they don't see anything, and it's just like, okay, like we're building up to this and not much really happens until they run into the Triceratops who's sick.
Doesn't Goldblum have a line there where he's like, don't you guys have dinosaurs or some shit like that? Doesn't he drop
he's talking into the camera or something?
Yeah,
he does. And then what else does he have in that car? I think it's like, you crazy son of a bitch, you did it, or something, right? Like, what's the line?
Oh, and they see what are they, Brontosaurus or some shit?
Yeah.
And this is like when he's flirting with Laura Dern.
Dude, I was like, man, this.
And Sam Neill's character is just so distracted. That's like how into this shit he is. So.
Yeah.
Dude,
But
that
Laura,
took me...
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Laura Dern's character, she was like into that shit. I'm like, how can you not be though? Like, he was like, oh, all the imperfections on your skin, and she's like, imperfections, like micro imperfections. Like, and like, take me away, Jeff Goldblum. God damn it.
Yeah, and he's like talking about his kids and shit, which is like what Sam Neill doesn't want. And she's like, she hates or whatever. It's funny.
Oh man, what a guy.
It took me like 10 minutes to realize what she was from. And then it was just like this wave of things. There's so many things that she's in.
A lot. Yeah.
What was it for you?
A Marriage Story was the first one.
Marriage Story.
Right.
She's the lawyer in that. She's a great actor.
Newest Star Wars.
Star Wars and then
is
Holdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they I thought it was so funny where they roll up on that Triceratops that's like dying, and they're just like, oh my god, they're just like so like happy about it, but I'm just like,
I know.
Sad thing.
They're like, it's beautiful. Isn't she beautiful? I'm like, this bitch is dying.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, she was pregnant, right? Like that's the whole.
That's what I thought.
It happens every 6 weeks. She gets sick like this. She's obviously shitting out eggs, right?
Damn, I didn't think about that. That's really good.
Yeah. Because and then they were like, there was that poisonous plant or whatever, and they're like, and she checked the stool, and she was like, yeah, there's nothing harmful here. I wonder what's wrong. So yeah, it did seem like it was alluding to that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Goldblum has another one there. He's just like, that's one big pile of shit, and it just like, it really is.
Does anyone else have like memorable lines in Jeff Goldblum? I think Sam Neill has one where it's T-Rexes don't want to be fed; they want to hunt. Like that's kind of a big line from the movie, but other than that, everything is Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
They
move in herds. I've always heard. I don't know why they say that they move in herds. Yeah.
For about the laugh in the helicopter, dude. That shit is so fucking.
Oh, you were talking about that. I was trying to think of what I missed it.
Whatever. He just sounds so fucking. Like,
Oh
why
my
did they use
gosh.
it?
Oh man, because he
Dude,
does the script, dude. He just
Like, not to dwell on the helicopter scene, but the helicopter scene is so fucking long. Like, they're riding in it forever, they get there, and then they're there in the air just floating for like another 5 minutes because
He's like putting
he's got the two ends of the seatbelt, and I'm just like, what is this?
that was weird. Yeah, everyone's buckling up. It goes on every character buckling up, and then Sam Neill's character is just like, I've got two female parts of a seat buckle, like, and then he just ties them in a knot. It's like, what's happening?
It was random.
Showing like, I don't know.
I was waiting for
Improvising? I don't know.
Is like a short temper or something.
Maybe, yeah.
I was waiting for like an airplane moment or something.
Oh man. All right, let's try to think where we should jump forward to next, because I mean there's a lot more that happens in the, Laura Dern's character stays with the Triceratops shit, and then everyone else leaves, and then
We see more of the main base where Samuel L. Jackson shows up.
Oh, yeah.
I totally forgot he was in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, very weird. Just chain smoking and always saying to what does he say?
Awesome
Hold on to
while
your
he's doing
butts.
it.
Like,
Hold on to your butts.
he just does some PG-13. It's so weird.
Yeah.
His character was weird in this.
It took me like the beginning of a scene, like for it to show him and then go to somebody else for me to be like, was that? And then had to go back to him, and then I was like, oh my god, it is.
Yeah.
But you kind of see what they do, right? He like, I don't know, kind of looks over things on the computer. That's not very clear. But then the other dude, Wayne Knight's character, he is like a programmer and like running, like made all the code for this facility and like runs and fixes shit and all that, which is pretty interesting.
2 million lines of code.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, how was that with you, Jay, as a coder?
As a hacker.
As a hacker, yeah.
I hate this hacking shit. That's what he said. That's all. You didn't guess the magic word.
Oh yeah.
No, it was interesting. Yeah. There's a lot of like real world stuff that they did that was like, oh yeah, okay, I've been there, right? Like they're talking about when he gets out of the Jeep, that one guy's like, we should have put locks on the doors. I told you guys. And that's like, for us, that's like testing in production, right? You release something and everybody starts using it, and then you realize like the one thing that you should be there, but you just didn't think about it.
So
all
simple.
that kind of stuff comes up a lot, and it like directly relates to software stuff.
And I was so glad that they addressed that, like when, which is just you and you talking about it brings like a human element of like what like making a company is about. Where I was just like, why the fuck can they just get out of their car and like why are there like on that dinosaur that spits at people? It was just like, make sure your windows are rolled up. It's like what kind of liability are you guys ready for when somebody rolls their windows down and gets acid spit in their face? But yeah, I mean, it's just like a real thing. Like,
when you're in the weeds, like building the thing, you're not thinking about how is someone gonna fuck this up. You're like, oh, you use it this way, even if nobody else knows that.
Yeah,
right.
So they're like, I'm not gonna get out of this car, but like other people might.
I saw this funny ass comment, and it was like, this movie shows how devs are underpaid and overworked. And then when shit hits the fan, they expect them to come back and fix it all. Like when
and not to be bought out by some Russian.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit.
That's amazing.
What's his name? Not Newman. I just keep wanting to call him Newman. Like when he just disappears, though.
Gosh.
Oh, Wayne Knight's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Nedry. That's his last name. I forget his first name.
Dennis Nedry is his
name.
Dennis Nedry. Which is funny because Nedry is an anagram for nerdy.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's like a
My
programmer.
dyslexic ass read it like that first. I was like, what?
Oh, really? Yeah. I just like how he was like fucking drinking Jolt and like his desk was all fucked up, like probably most of ours are. It's like shit.
Which is funny because I always hear people a little older than me talk about Jolt, like, oh yeah, back in my day we had Jolt. And I'm like, dude.
That was probably like the first energy drink or maybe something. Like,
okay.
Hacker.
That's fitting then, yeah.
That's so funny. The little girl or whatever, she's like,
yeah.
He's like, I'm not a nerd, I'm a hacker. So.
Lex Murphy. Man, and then she saves the day later on. I mean, well,
it's a Linux system or some Unix system.
She goes to some like fucking virtual fucking file fucking what was that? Like some.
By the way, I love how that file
the
system
map
was
set up. What? Okay.
That was like the one tech thing that I was like, all right, this is kind of
how fucking.
The rest was like
3D thing.
You know? Yeah.
And I think it was bad because they like dove into it a lot. If they would have just showed like one flash of that screen, we'd be like, okay, and then forget about it. But they're like, let's like look at her like go into every single building in this entire facility.
Yeah, they're trying to build that anticipation because really the whole fucking time the children are so fucking useless the whole goddamn movie.
That kid was just
straight chilling. Laura Dern's over there holding that door like all fucking stupid when they could have asked that kid to fucking grab the gun, like give it to him, like, and he was just there fucking just straight chilling.
Oh my gosh.
And like half
made me so mad.
Yeah, half of like the really like big intense scenes wouldn't have happened if those fucking kids weren't there. Just like what's
why did she turn the light on? The flashlight or whatever.
Yeah.
Why did she do that?
I don't know. She was scared. Whatever. So I agree with him. Fuck them kids.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Fuck them kids.
Yeah, fuck them kids. They fucking made everything 10 times worse. Yeah. Anyways, man,
what do we get into?
That scene where the T-Rex gets to them, right? That's like
the T-Rex. That was kind of like the quote where it was just like, oh, like T-Rex doesn't want to be fed; it wants to hunt. And then power goes out; they're stuck there. The goat's missing, and then does the power go down for the electric fence, and that's why the T-Rex can get through. Yeah, interesting scene. I mean, there's a lot. I guess a lot of the memorable quotes from that scene is like, "If you don't move, it can't see you," kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think everyone thinks about T-Rexes that way. I don't know if that's like true in any sense of if their sight is really based off of movement, but I just always remember thinking that if I ever run into a T-Rex, that I just won't move.
Dude, this shit was so tense. I don't know why, but I was just like, I've seen this before, and I just caught myself like holding my arm like so tight. I was like, holy shit, I'm like fucking stressed out right now for these kids and shit.
There was a lot of the movie that was really intense like that.
Yeah.
It was like masterful suspense. It was crazy.
It was so cool with the T-Rex flipping over the car and then eating like its belly, like the belly, like he thought it was
right.
big old cow. He's like, oh, this tastes like shit.
That whole scene was like, what I thought of was how, I mean, you know, the state of the world, it's not like, it's just a weird time, but how much of this movie was like made for being in a cinema, like the loud sound, the screen real big, right? It's so much different than movies that are coming out like directly through Netflix and stuff.
The roar and shit, man.
Yeah, exactly.
The 90s 3D where the T-Rex is reaching out at you, kind of thing. But to touch on, they did really well, yeah. They had a good mix of visual effects and also just what is it called, animatronics, like not all practical. Of it was practical effects. They did a good job balancing that, I think.
What, this movie, wasn't it like groundbreaking effects? Like it was game changing for the
Dude, the T-Rex scenes still look fucking amazing. Like
they didn't look bad at all. Yeah, they really. There was no point where I was like,
they're real models, right? Most of the
time,
some of them, yeah.
That's how they did it, right? I think it's because they had the giant T-Rex like head and kind of torso part in like real life or whatever. They can get the lighting references and stuff to make it look way more realistic. Because like at the beginning, those brontosaurus and shit like that looked really bad.
When there's multiple dinosaurs on the screen, CGI, when you're getting like a real close up of a dinosaur, it's real prosthetics and stuff. Like the raptors actually have people in them. Have you guys seen the videos of people like controlling the raptor?
That sounds familiar.
It's like an actual costume that they would wear.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I think the nighttime and all the rain and shit helped a lot with the T-Rex too. But,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, to touch on the suspense a little bit, for me, I don't know. There was something, I don't know what it was, but I didn't truly, because like Taryn, you said that you were like gripping your arm, you were like, holy fuck, like this is so. For me, I was like, nothing's gonna happen. Like I kind of.
No, that's what's funny is I knew that, but like
the scene where they're turning on the power each little button at a time. I'm just like what the fuck? Like, he should have. It was like 10,000 volts. 10,000 you could die from like way less than that.
Well, it's not volts that kills you; it's amps. But I mean, I don't. But yeah, like it's. I don't know. And we talked about this in what movie was it? Was it RoboCop or was it not Future? Back to the Future, where it was just like I think James was mentioning it specifically, where there was no consequences. I think it was Back to the Future, just the last episode.
Oh, when he was fucking hanging on the goddamn clock tower for like 3 hours.
Yeah,
so intense.
I don't know.
And like, what bothered me is because like
there's 3 more movies. It's just like I don't know.
Jurassic World, or Jurassic Park, but with Back to the Future, I was just like, I don't care that there's no consequences. Like I'm sucked in. But with this movie, I'm just like, nothing's gonna happen, and it didn't. I don't know. It just failed to really drive me into the suspense, I guess, because I just.
I was way more sucked into this movie. I think I was just like, this fucking kid, stop.
But I did actually. I actually fucking jump scared and scremed when Laura Dern was turning on all the power. The fucking raptors smashed. I was like, oh! I was like, shit!
Oh, yeah.
Jacqueline was just like, it's not even that big of a deal. I was like, okay. I was like, my bad. Sorry.
Wife's calling.
Dude, I didn't remember that the kid got zapped, and when I was like, oh, he's just kind of like,
he's gonna jump,
That's another part of the fucking kids, man. I'm like, just fucking jump.
What's so hilarious
is like, dude.
counting, which okay, this is so fucking stupid when I caught this. He was like counting down when he was gonna jump off. He's like 1, 2. He gets shocked. He dies. He gets resuscitated, and then he's like 3. Like I'm just like,
Oh my god.
It's like the fucking kid completes the line. You bastard! You were just dead.
That's hilarious.
Shit.
But I think maybe the issue is like that. I didn't really care about the kids that much. Did anyone
See,
else
that's
feel
what I'm
that?
saying. And it felt so fucking weird
They're
because
holding everything back.
and they were like they wanted to be like this family dynamic, but it's like this is some other fucking asshole's grandchildren.
Right.
I don't give a shit about
Where
these
are their
fucking
parents?
kids. And they're over there like laying with me on this tree, and it's weird, and I already hate kids, and it's fucking I don't know.
I
don't
feel
know.
like that. Yeah, I agree with you, James. I feel like that scene was kind of forced, where it was just like, yes, I mean, maybe going through some traumatic life-death scenario where you're like, you had to save these fucking punk kids because they're idiots, and like, then you get together and climb a tree and see some dinosaurs and shit. And he's just like this father figure instantly, and I'm like, it felt a little forced, like for me.
They're literally strangers. Those children would probably be like stranger danger to, even if this guy's
I mean, they know
a
who
famous.
He is,
I mean, he's a famous scientist, but
Hard to go, though.
he could be
They
a
look up to
fucking
him.
weirdo. He could be a weirdo.
I mean,
No, I'm not talking about the relationship from like how the kids feel about
the other
about
way.
Sam Neill, but how Sam Neill is just like, yeah, I guess kids are everything. I'll just
yeah.
weird.
He's like,
I don't know.
he left us. He left us. I won't leave you. I'm like, bitch, leave him. Fuck him.
Stay awake all night.
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
I guess it was forced. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
there's
just
not,
the
like,
one way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. What it did remind me of when the kids are introduced, I was like, oh, Jurassic World is just this same exact plot.
Mm,
They're
course
just
it is.
random kids that are thrust upon this guy,
yeah,
and
If-
everything else is the same.
I don't really
Yeah,
remember Jurassic World too much.
I don't really either. But
Except
yeah, I
for
think
Margarita guy.
wow, that's the best scene, the best cosplay. If you haven't seen it, look it up. But yeah, it felt like forced character development, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it was even.
Soften your heart.
I feel like that whole thread was just a little, not out of place, but it just felt weird. Like that whole like I don't like kids, but now I do. Like just throughout
Right.
the whole movie, I'm like,
Yeah.
It's like,
what is this? Because like it didn't. I don't know. Like his relationship with Laura Dern didn't seem. It was in trouble because he didn't like kids or something. Like you know what I mean? Like it was just such a random feeling.
Yeah, they talked about it like multiple times, and it was like somewhat of a like semi highlight of like their relationship.
Right. Which their relationship was garbage in the first place. Like it felt like Sam Neill's character was just like, oh, like I just care about my work, and like she was totally an afterthought. And even I mean, like to go to the scene where Jeff Goldblum's straight up about to seduce Martin's character, it's like he's not even paying attention. He couldn't care less. And then Jeff Goldblum literally asks if she's available, and he's just like, oh, why? And he's like, "Oh, are you dating her?" And he's like, "Yeah, kind of." Like,
Yeah, his answer was so bad.
Yeah, I almost never got the impression that they were together. It was
Yeah.
just like-
Right.
it was like a
Yeah.
weird
Really,
dynamic.
yeah.
the relationship is not great. So it's like,
But she was also like that strong, independent woman who don't need no man too, because like when they have that little
Right.
interaction, they're like, man creates dinosaur, man becomes god, and it was like dinosaur eats man, and she's like, women inherit the earth or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like,
basically that, yeah.
And then later, that same shit comes up where Hammond's like, "Oh, I should go because whatever." He's like being all awkward, and she's like, "I can fucking deal with this. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I know you're a man, but whatever."
yeah.
Yeah, which kind of makes me think like, are there any likable characters in this movie? Of course, other than Jeff Goldblum's character. But
I like Laura Dern's character.
do you like whose character?
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
I think
she's okay.
Yeah.
She's
Their
better.
relationship-
She's better than the main character. I think. I don't know. Do you consider him the main character? I don't know.
Sam Neill.
Yeah.
guess so, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's the main character for sure. But like I kind of don't really care about Sam Neill's character that much. The kids are useless and kind of annoying. John Hammond or Richard Attenborough's character he's okay. He's probably got maybe the most depth, but other than that, I'm not really caring about these characters that much. And
even your main villain is just like, I mean, I don't know. Who do you want your main villain to be? The fucking Raptors or Newman? Like, I don't know.
So that was interesting, and that I don't know. I think I was expecting, honestly, I think I was expecting more from this movie, which I don't know. I still liked it. It's a good movie, and it's of course a classic, and it's done a lot for. I mean, I think just CG and like dinosaur movie. What other dinosaur movies really are there? Are there any notable ones?
None that I can think of.
I actually don't know.
God, I mean, so this is kind of all we have.
What's Big Littlefoot? What the fuck?
Godzilla.
The Good Dinosaur? That movie is fucking terrible.
No, not that one. What's the other animated title? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
Land Before Time.
Land
Before Time.
Okay.
I like
that.
Dude.
That movie was amazing.
Not a realistic take on dinosaurs or anything.
Yeah, because I feel like if there are dinosaurs in like present time, it's just like, oh, it's just Jurassic Park. Like, how are we gonna do it different? You know, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know because you could, I don't know, you could think the same way about alien movies. I mean, there's not just one movie about aliens. Like,
yeah, but I'm saying like, just dinosaurs in present time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, aliens.
Like, how else
anything.
would you bring? Yeah, dinosaurs.
And dinosaurs we know what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have to bring them back in some way, and it's like, oh, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, where are we with this? I think let's just talk about the Velociraptors for a minute. Pretty cool. And I think that's what I will say about Jurassic World.
Cool.
What?
That's how they sound. They're like, "Caw."
Birds, man.
Yeah.
I think Jurassic World, if there's one thing about that movie, is they did a pretty good job about like introducing them more as like characters and like it's about like actual individual characters.
Oh yeah.
You know, because like there's the whole scene with Chris Pratt where he's like there with all of the Velociraptors around him and he's like calming them. Yeah, exactly. And with this movie, they're pretty much straight up just the villain. But they're really fucking cool. Like I think without them, this movie probably would have been really fucking boring. I think.
My only thing was they fucking made one of them smile when he looked into the fucking in the little peephole. He smiled. He literally was like, and I was like, oh my god.
I remember that.
Like maybe I was imagining it, but like I swear it was like straight up a smile. I was like, oh, I was like, that's like so weird and cheesy. Like they made him
their claws.
Yeah, like they were tapping and.
Oh yeah, that's like a thing.
But they were trying to make him seem like kind of like I don't know. They kind of brought that all back in the beginning when you have who's that other guy? That other Crocodile Dundee Indiana Jones looking.
Oh right.
Oh yeah,
like, we totally forgot about it. I don't remember his name.
That's so funny because when I saw him, I was like, this fucking crocodile.
Yeah, like they like set up how like these dinosaurs are like kind of almost human. They're able to like. Yeah. They're very intelligent. They're very able to like deduct and reason and all this stuff. And then when they made them like smile and shit, I was like, stop trying to make them humans or whatever. Like it was just weird. Like they're not evil like for the sake of like being evil, you know, like
right.
Well, I don't fucking know. They're fucking animals, right? Like they're just trying to survive and like that was like kind of weird for me.
But in this movie, they like kind of weren't just trying to survive. It felt like they were hunting. For example, cats. Yeah. Like cats kill fucking billions of birds a year, and they don't kill the birds to eat them. They kill them because that's just their DNA. They just want to fucking kill things.
Yeah.
And like I feel like they were kind of diving into like velociraptors, they're not necessarily hunting for food. Like they're just killers. They just want to kill
in their nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just in their nature. But no, but I get what you're saying is like to try to make them so human. I mean, I didn't catch
it
the
was
smile.
weird. Yeah, it was like a weird smirk. Like I was like, what the fuck? But,
Interesting.
yeah. Weird. I don't. We could go into that like right away. I saw a thing. It was a theory that Hammond actually ends up saving his grandchildren because he's all freaking out, like how the whole place is like melting down, like, and he goes and he gets the ice cream and he's eating all that melted ice cream. He leaves the freezer open and all the ice spills in the kitchen.
Oh.
And it makes the raptor slip, and that's why the kids are able to escape.
I did see
make sense, but
yeah,
like,
it was a crazy.
Intentionally is.
I don't know if
feels
it's
like a stretch for
intentionally.
me.
Yeah, but somebody had a little theory about that, and I was like, oh, that's damn. I was like, that's kind of cool. But
Okay, I like
anyone
that as a
else-
reason, but not like
Yeah.
on purpose.
yeah,
Did anyone else think about The Shining when they were like doing that lock onto the freezer door and shit? I was just like,
yeah,
I was like,
That
these
was
fucking
similar.
complicated locks in storage rooms
Yeah.
for food. It's like, why do we need it such? You know. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I guess we could go into like just the Velociraptor scene in the kitchen and like
Mhm.
these useless ass kids just trying to hide from them, and it's just
Yeah.
I feel like it was at some parts I was just like, these are just the top breed of hunters in their time, and they can't track down two kids that are just clumsily running around a kitchen.
And
Which,
then
like,
they attack their own reflection, right? Isn't that
It
what
was-
yeah.
happens? I'm like,
Yeah.
aren't they
Man,
supposed
they're
to be
synced for a
smarter?
reason, right?
Oh
No,
yeah,
just kidding.
oh yeah, that's a good line. He said they're extinct for a reason when
that was,
when Newman tells that fucking little flap face that.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, also like they've never seen a mirror, you know.
Yeah.
I've seen a lake. I don't know. It's like a
I
But-
guess.
But like, why are they
No, I
attacking
know,
themselves or like part of a pack? Like, I don't know. Is that like
Because
they're like,
No,
oh, it's
it was
another
the
one?
they killed the other ones.
It was the reflection of the girl.
Oh, it was the
Oh, wait,
reflection of the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was trying to
Oh
close
yeah,
the
it was.
the
It was. Yeah.
reflection of the girl that they were
She's in
Oh,
that
okay.
little
Okay.
bread box.
because
where
the audience, like, we thought that it was actually her too. So like we were also fooled until he clashed into it. Then we
Right.
realized it was.
Dude, that scene, I don't know. I liked it, even though those kids suck. That scene was really good.
Yeah, that was like one of the most memorable scenes that I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely remember the kitchen scene, like
Yeah.
seeing it as a
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
I don't want to like shit on the kids like so much. I mean, they're fucking kids.
Yeah.
I
Oh
would
yeah, it's
I
not.
would be just as useless at that age.
Yeah.
you know?
And honestly,
they're
they were really good actors too. I thought.
They-
Like,
they were,
Yeah, I
I
was
really
gonna say.
yeah.
It's
Pretty
not
legit.
like their fault. It's just like the writing that the things they had to say and do was
Right.
not their fault.
the kid eats half a fucking chocolate cake and he's like able to still run away without like vomiting like all kinds of sweets up. I was just like, oh, I was like, imagine how sick you would feel right there.
Just the stress alone would make me fucking.
Yeah. Doesn't he say he's like, oh, I threw up when he's fucking stuck in
Oh,
the
in the
tree?
tree. So I won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
So funny.
Oh man.
Dude, I don't know. Never mind. I guess I'm gonna go back to the scene where he almost fucking gets crushed in that car. That shit was fucked up. But yeah.
Yeah. Again, yeah, it's just like that suspenseful thing where like I'm like, they're not gonna kill this kid right now. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we did the kitchen velociraptor scene. Just a flash forward. Man,
So
what-
they all get back together, right? And then they get into the main control room with Hammond
Yeah.
and Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay. Trying to think.
So I wanted, or Samuel L. Jackson's character. Well, I guess it's like skipping a little bit, but when he leaves or whatever, the only thing I saw today was like the reason that they don't show him dying or whatever. Like they were gonna film it, but I guess he was gonna fly to Hawaii to film it, and there was like these storms, and it like destroyed the whole set or something, so he just couldn't film it.
Holy shit! They were gonna film which character dying? Samuel L. Jackson's character?
Yeah, because they only find his arm or whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that was his arm? Oh, shit. Yeah, no, I honestly don't even remember it being okay.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be, which is like pretty brutal for this kind of movie. I feel.
Yeah, it's like even that felt brutal, and I was like, damn, they were gonna actually show him fucking die.
But totally perfect, like just the arm missing, like just
like if I didn't know that, it would have been fun.
Shit.
Because she asked, she's like, oh, is it you? Like whatever that guy's character is.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, so I guess after the kitchen scene and everything, everyone, like we said, they meet up in the control room. Where are we going next? Is it where all of them are together and the Velociraptors are still fucking chasing them and still?
Yeah, that's when they're holding the door, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and then like they kind of break out through like the ducts and
the
like
roof?
Yeah. And then they have that cool fight scene, which was fun. Where they're like fighting, like they're like grappling onto the skeleton of the
the main lobby or whatever.
Oh yeah,
which was shot of the T-Rex with the banner coming.
The
down.
Banner, yeah.
Dude, yes. But before that, so that was probably the most like surprising scene for me, where the Velociraptors are kind of cornering the four of them. And then the Velociraptor is right about to jump into them, and then the T-Rex comes and snatches it. And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I realized there's a T-Rex on the loose too, and that was a fun scene for me.
There's an interesting thing that I noticed right when they're jumping into the duct, and the Velociraptor tries to jump up and grab them. Right, the genetic code is being like projected on the wall.
Oh, yes, so cool.
On him.
My favorite fucking shot.
Really sick.
So cool.
That was a really fucking cool shot. It was just like you are just DNA.
Yeah.
Which we all are, but it was really, really well done.
Yeah.
There's a Twitter account called One Perfect Shot or something, and it just posts like screenshots of these like super cool things. And I just thought of that when I saw that. I was like, "Fuck
yeah!"
Oh yeah.
If they haven't already, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
really good.
Super cool.
Yeah. So after the T-Rex fucks up both of those Velociraptors, what else do we have? They get in the helicopter and
fucking
evac.
And that's where like everybody is like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not funding your fucked up ass carnival over here.
Yeah. And then what's his name? The villain, I guess. Whatever. He gets killed by the fucking spitter dinosaur.
Oh yeah,
that happened a lot. Like Wayne Knight's character.
That was so annoying. Just him driving so fucking recklessly. I'm like, dude,
the whole movie though. He drives like that. Dude, that was literally that was literally almost comedic. Like in Police Squad, that old Leslie Nielsen show. Every time he drives a car and he parks it, it wrecks into something. Like, every single time. This was literally that. This motherfucker driving.
That's
dude. So he knocks down a sign. And he tries to put it back up, and he like spins it the other way. I thought that was gonna like. Felt like that would come back.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna leave. Yeah.
Way.
That entire scene almost could have just not happened, except for him dying. Like the whole
losing the thing,
the Barbasol thing, like didn't lead to anything in this movie. Like
that's what was weird. It was a dead plot line. Like it was dead on arrival. Right. Like they just, and like I said, I haven't seen the other two movies. Like does it ever get brought up again? Like I don't know. It's very strange. I do like his character. Like he's fucking witty and he's snarky and like he's just a pain in your ass. But like he's also like,
it doesn't really matter.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of strange.
Well, and I've never seen the other two movies either. But like when they're leaving in the helicopter, it's just like, okay, well that was a bad idea.
That was a bad 2 days.
Just still full of dinosaurs. They're like, what? Nobody's gonna go and like clean that up. It's just gonna live like that forever.
Like, what about who's flying the helicopter? What happened to all the employees that are just there?
The rest of Samuel L's body's floating.
Just dip later.
Yeah, I don't.
Actually, I didn't think about that until right now. So all the scientists are just like open the door, like just do a burning, that fucking scene from Community.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What time are we at right now? Where are we?
1 hour and 54 seconds.
All right.
I think this minutes. I was like, wait.
We went over pretty much everything that I think is notable. Does anyone else have any big scenes that they've been dying to bring up before we get into reviews?
No.
I was gonna bring up the ride again from
Universal.
Oh yeah.
Is it? I thought it was Disney.
No, it's
Universal.
Universal.
It was Universal. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Have you guys been on that?
Yeah.
I have.
Did you know they redid it for Jurassic World?
Oh really? Huh.
Maybe.
You know how the car falls?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, this is like a travesty. I've never seen the car fall. Every time I go, it's broken, and it's just sitting out there.
Oh no!
It doesn't fall. So they left that in the redesign, and then the thing you go up into is like the big tank of that like crazy dinosaur that's in the tank of Jurassic World, and like comes up and like bites shit. You know?
Oh. Okay.
It like rams into the sides, and it's like a screen, and then it starts shattering, and you're like, oh shit, this is going down. But I think they keep the T-Rex too, so I don't know.
It's like isn't there a drop with the T-Rex coming out of a waterfall or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of them.
Doesn't it go right in front of your cart too? Like it just like
goes, right when you drop, it comes out of a waterfall. It's so cool.
So
cool. Really
that shit scared the shit out of me as a child.
Yeah, I was so young. I don't even remember. I haven't been to Disney, Disneyland or Orlando Studios in so fucking long, but.
Dude, that scared the shit out of me as an adult. It's like still frightening.
Oh, shit. Gosh. Okay, but I think other than that, we pretty much covered most of the things that I think were notable to talk about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump right into the reviews. Who wants to go first? Any takers?
I can go first. I will do it.
All right.
Like I said in the beginning, I was like, I feel like I expected. I keep calling him Newman. I don't freaking even know his name. I thought he was gonna be in this movie like way more. Yeah, I thought he was gonna be in this movie like way more. I thought Goldblum was gonna be in this movie way more, and like I think as a kid I liked this movie like way better. Like watching it now, like I don't think it's not that the movie didn't hold up. It's just that. I think like the whole plot of the movie is just like not as good as I remember it to be. And like, I don't know, probably up there with everything else, the score in this freaking movie, John Williams killing the game with all the music and everything. The CGI and the practical effects like next level. But I don't know, something strange about this movie, all the dead plot lines, all the weirdness with the children, weirdness with Newman. It's a fun movie. I don't think I probably would watch it again for a long time, honestly. 7.5.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's solid. Yeah, I'll jump in next because I feel very similarly, I think, as James does. And I feel like Taryn specifically, and maybe Jay have this movie a little higher regarded, but I mean, again, to touch on some of the things, the CG was groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah.
It's still a classic movie. I mean, we've talked about like what other dinosaur movies are there? There really aren't. Not to say that if there was one that it wouldn't be, I mean, maybe better, but it wouldn't be written or released in the 90s. So, whatever. But it's just a lot of I don't know. I wasn't really fully drawn in and fully entertained all throughout. And I think with movies that we've done just even more recently where they were just as old or older and they were just so much more fun all the way through. I don't know. The acting was good. The cast was good, but something was left to be desired for me. And so I'm right there around with James. I think I'm right at like a 7.7 for this one. I enjoyed it, but like James said, I'm not going to watch this movie again in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where I'm at, 7.7.
Okay. So I'm trying to frame my review and trying to put myself in like the headspace of 93, right?
Yeah.
Like as much as possible here.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, you guys are talking about plot and shit, and I don't think this movie is about plot. I think this movie is itself an amusement ride. Like it is an example
Showing
of what
the
can be done.
newest.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
showing the
Okay.
newest.
Yeah.
It's an original idea at the time, right? I mean, it's, you know, somewhat. And you want to see the latest and greatest with dinosaurs. It's loud, it's cool looking, that kind of shit. So on that, you know, on that like thread, I think it's, for me, it's a little bit higher. Like Adrian said, I think you're right. Originally, I wanted to jump into the 9s with this, but I don't really think it's a 9 worthy. I mean, okay, it's one of the only movies to reach $1 billion box office, right? That's huge. That's a huge accomplishment.
Insane.
And
Yeah.
Spielberg is like a lot of his movies. I won't say all. A lot of his movies are really good, and they have this like really crazy world building, and they kind of suck you in, and they wow you in some way, right? That's like his thing. So I was like wowed even in 2020, right? Almost 30 years old, this movie, and I still was like, dang, this looks cool. It'd be sweet to see it in a theater, like a re-release or something. But yeah, I don't think it's a 9 worthy. So I'm gonna give it probably like an 8.3, and I agree that I probably won't watch it for a long time again.
Oh,
Okay. 8.3.
Fair.
Sharon,
I'm
what's-
surprised, dude. I'm actually so surprised. Because, I don't know, this movie is fucking like the most iconic movie we've done, I feel like. It's my favorite movie we've done so far. I'm gonna say
Really?
that. Easily.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
It's the first hour, like building up to like all the crazy dinosaur shit, is just so fucking well done. Like, you were saying there was like a lull in there somewhere. I was trying to feel, I was like, where would that be? I don't know. Like, I just loved every part of it, you know? Of course, Jeff Goldblum's like one of my favorite fucking people in the world. It's, like, the action, all the CGI, all the stuff you guys said, I echo. It's really fucking good. I'm just gonna go for it. Fucking 9.5, baby. Let's go.
9.5.
I fucking love this movie, dude. I
Wow.
love last watching it.
Cool. It is
Is
a
that the
fun.
highest rating ever given on the show?
No.
No, I
7.5.
give it-
Adrian's got
Is that a real rating now?
9.75.
Well, okay, I was very drunk, so it's hard to.
Well, our Wally scores were all above 9.
This is
I
one
don't
of
remember
the
what they
shows
were
that-
exactly, but
Yeah.
But
That was a Hall of Famer, which we still need to get a poster
Wally was
for.
really fucking good. Okay, so we collectively rated this movie at an 8.25, which I'm okay with. I think
Yeah.
Taryn's
that's-
score jumped it up. I mean, I don't know. I don't think any of us hated this movie. I definitely rated
Yeah.
it a 7.7. Like, this was a good movie, especially for its time, and it's done so much for film, and like it's the only dinosaur movie that we have. But yeah, is there any other topics that you guys want to touch on before we wrap this thing up? Anything?
I mean,
I
agree with Terrence just saying that like a lot of it was paced like pretty good, like in the beginning there, like I love that scene. I love the scenes like when they're in the lab and everything. Like that was
Yeah.
like really cool. I think that where it fell off was like all the other meat and potatoes of like the rest of the movie. Because I
Right.
loved explaining like where I loved them explaining what we were about to see. And then it was like,
Yeah.
okay. But
we also just mention it. The fucking Goldblum pose that we never brought up.
The Goldblum pose. He's a
I don't know
sex,
what that's all about.
sex
but it's-
stallion.
busted ass
There's
leg.
not much
Oh,
else
yeah.
to say about Jeff Goldblum, but then it suits
Mention it.
any one of us. Yeah, so we collectively have rated this movie an 8.25, which I think we're all pretty comfortable with. We'd love to know what you guys thought of this movie. How do you rate it? What are some notable things about this movie that maybe we missed? Message us or send us an email. Leave us a comment on YouTube. You can find us pretty much anywhere at Film Fumblers. Look us up on Instagram, YouTube. What else are we on? Filmfumblers@gmail.com, Twitter. All of those places, reach out to us. If you're watching us live, be sure to stay tuned. We're going to do an after show party about finding out what movie we're going to be doing next. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and have a great rest of your day. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.